What's up, everybody? Back again with another episode of the Common Grounds podcast. I'm here with my special guest today, MacDonald. Lauren, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Lauren, why don't you tell everyone where you're from?
I'm from Ottawa, Canada, originally, and I've been in Winston-Salem at Wake for the past 4 years. But all my family's from the east coast of Canada and Nova Scotia.
All the maritime provinces?
Yes.
Where at again? Like Saint?
My parents are from two really small towns in Nova Scotia called Antigonish and New Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
But they moved to Ontario before I was born for work.
Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I've had the chance to get to know you over the past 4 years. I think we had econ class together freshman year, and then public speaking class. So,
nice, yes, public speaking.
But what are you studying at Wake?
I'm in the business school,
oh,
so
nice.
I'm taking BEM. But yeah, definitely did a lot of sort of bouncing around to try and figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I think we all did. I didn't think I'd be studying what I'm studying. So, what about how did you pick Wake? What was that? What was that experience like? I don't know too many Canadians outside of the ones that play on the sports teams we have here. A couple on basketball, one on football, and maybe a couple other sports. But I don't know too many outside of the sports. So how do you end up here?
Yeah, it was honestly sort of a fluke. I knew I wanted to go to school in the U.S., but I was focused mainly sort of on the Northeast. And I was actually driving back to Canada from Florida and passed through North Carolina and decided to do a tour at Wake.
Yeah, 95.
Literally through 95. And I just heard of it sort of through one of my dad's friends. So I just kind of stopped in, and it was a complete coincidence that I ended up liking it.
Wow. Now, did you ED? Was this?
I didn't. No, actually, I filled out the application on the deadline because...
Oh, geez.
Well, the big, 12 question application was not going to be something I was prioritizing. That was if I have time, I'll get to it.
Wow. Where else were you looking?
I was between here and Boston College, so... But I looked at a lot of, small liberal arts schools in the Northeast, too.
Did you apply anywhere in Canada, or...?
Yeah, we didn't have a choice but to apply. So I applied to 3 schools in Ontario and 1 in Nova Scotia.
Oh, nice. Yeah, what's the cost like there? Is it like Europe where it's a lot more affordable, or is it more like the US where it's really expensive?
So it's not free like Europe, but for Canadians it's a lot cheaper to go to school in Canada. I think my tuition would have been something like I don't know, ballpark $8 to $10,000 a year.
Oh, yeah.
But then
it's closer to free than the Wake.
Yeah, it's a lot closer to free than Wake. Yeah,
it's closer to free than Wake.
Yeah, something that's also kind of different about Canadian schools is they have different thresholds. So it's if you have a certain GPA. Well, we don't use GPA, but if you have a certain grade, you get an automatic scholarship.
Oh, sweet.
So you get a couple $1,000s off your tuition just based on your grade.
Do you think that makes high school a little more competitive and maybe a little more serious?
Yes and no. I think it's just the same as here, where in high school people are sort of divided into different levels of classes and different streams. So depending on what you're taking, you're not going to be
honors, regular, intensive.
Yeah. So we don't have AP, but a lot of schools offer IB or just higher level classes.
That's what my buddy said. But I actually have family who's from Canada, Canadian citizens that actually still live there. I think we've talked about this before, even though obviously I'm not Canadian, but they were over in Timmins, Ontario. And just what would you think maybe it would be some cultural symbols that might be stereotypical but true, for instance in America, obviously hot dogs, hamburgers, football, apple pie, stuff like that.
Apple pie.
Maybe stuff you don't, maybe obviously everyone thinks Canada, they think ice hockey, maple syrup, things like that, but maybe stuff that's not as known that you want the world to know, because it's only 26 million people up there, and a lot of great people. But what are some things that the world doesn't know? You get your milk in bags or something like that.
We do get our milk in bags, yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool.
It's honestly kind of gross. There's nothing worse than pulling out a bag of milk. It jiggles around. You get a special little pouring pitcher for them. But no, actually, so the funniest thing is my freshman roommate here at Wake, she's from Clearwater, Florida. And I remember this vividly. I did something that was super stereotypically Canadian, and she she looked at me and she was like, the longer I get to know you, the more I realize that these aren't stereotypes. This is just sort of how you guys live. So like pretty much everything aside from like riding a polar bear to school is accurate from what you hear about Canada. Like everybody plays hockey. We actually like freeze our public parks in the wintertime and turn them into hockey rinks.
That's awesome.
My like hometown, we freeze the river and turn it into a hockey rink.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like it's still snowing there right now. It's what, like mid-April now. It's still snowing, still freezing. So pretty much, I mean, we live off of Tim Hortons and hockey, so it's pretty accurate. But
they seem to be happier in the cold though, because maybe they don't have as much of a choice. But like people up north in America, at least when I lived up there, they seem to be a little harder, like a little more like callous and very like rough.
I mean, I think the difference is that like if you live in the Northeast in the U.S., like you have an option to go somewhere warmer, whereas Canada, regardless of where you live, it's gonna snow.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really matter. You're picking between like the warmer of two like very cold places.
Yeah.
So there's not really an option. You just kind of make do.
Yeah.
But I think people find.
It's a good mindset though to have.
I mean, I guess, or you can be like me and just move
to Florida.
Yeah, you can just move to Florida or North Carolina or wherever. But
shout out to the 239.
Yeah, literally.
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers, Naples. This is the RSW airport.
The RSW airport. Everyone needs to retire there. Everyone needs to move there. Need more young people, but we'll take anyone we can get.
Yeah, well, literally. No, maybe not everyone.
Not everyone.
We have a lot of geriatrics in Fort Myers.
Hey. They're the ones who keep it afloat. But yeah, that makes sense, though. That makes sense. Now, would you say that you've traveled a lot? I know that we've talked before because we've known each other for 4 years. Would you say that Canada is more like Europe? Maybe think the UK, Scotland. Well, Scotland is the UK, but I don't know why I just said that. But they're trying to leave. They've been talking about breaking away from them, and like Ireland, countries like that. Or are they a little more like the US, or are they kind of in between? Like that's what I always say whenever I go there. I'm like, this feels a little bit more like the UK, obviously, than the US, but still very close to the US. Like, there's certain things where it's like, dang, they're similar, but others it's like, no, not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of, I don't know. I think, so one thing that a lot of people don't know about Canada is that we're a constitutional monarchy, so we never fully separated from England.
Dang.
So our head of state technically is still the Queen of England. She doesn't make any real decisions for us, but we have someone appointed by her supposedly called the Governor General, who's technically higher than the Prime Minister in terms of rank.
They're really higher than Trudeau?
Yeah.
What's their name? His or her name?
Don't ask me. I don't even know.
I had no idea.
I literally have no idea, but yeah, no. So technically, our head of state is still the Queen, and so I think that's why a lot of people find that Canada is sort of similar to the UK, that we've always had that sort of connection with them. And I mean, I've talked to my family about this, saying like, why don't we just separate? Like, it's kind of ridiculous at this point that she's still our head of state, but apparently there's a lot of people in Canada that are still loyalists to the crown, which is sort of baffling.
Yeah.
But apparently there'd be like a whole situation if we tried to separate. So
geez, like a bunch of stuff that we probably have no idea what will happen was written down somewhere.
Literally. I mean, so like for instance, like the Queen is still on all of our money.
Who's on the rest of it?
I mean, we have like prominent Canadian figures and stuff like that, but
what bills is she on?
She's on the 20 for sure, and then she's on the backs of, she's like the head of the coins, or some of the coins too. Yeah.
What's the biggest bill denomination you have? You have hundreds?
Yeah, we have hundreds.
You have 500s like in Europe? Like
no. We have 100 is the highest. Do we have? No, I don't think we have anything higher than
500 is a little ridiculous.
I don't think we have that. Yeah, you're not carrying around a $500 bill. There's not really a need for that.
This is asking to get robbed.
Yeah, but we also, I mean, this is different. We don't have like a $1 bill.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, we have $1 and $2 coins that we call loonies and toonies.
Yeah, that's very European.
Yeah, and we also got rid of the penny a few years ago, so it's still really annoying that you guys have the penny here.
Yeah, Warren Blinken.
Yeah, we just round. We round in Canada.
Yeah, I had no idea. Thank you for telling us that.
Yes, and I honestly forgot about all of this, so it's not.
I remember seeing a video of like Canada looking to sign an alliance. I'm sure they got a bunch of little treaties with all those other countries that kind of share that same position as them, as like Commonwealth countries, I guess, or countries that were part of the Commonwealth. Like, I think there was something called, like, the proposed Can-Zook Alliance, where it was Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK that were all going to, like, sign this, quote-unquote, like, Can-Zook Alliance or whatever.
Can-Zook.
And it was just going to be kind of, like, international trade all around the globe through those places. So it's just, like, really, really interesting. But, so, like, what does citizenship kind of mean to you? And maybe, like, you could talk about the process of getting a visa. Are you on, like, a F1? Or is there a different visa? Because you were talking about being from Canada, you could maybe get a different one.
Yeah, so I'm technically on an F1 visa, but Canada's the only country that doesn't actually need a visa to study in the US. So I have an I-20 that I show when I cross the border, just so that they can, like, acknowledge that I'm here for school. But technically we don't need one in our like, passports or anything like that. I have one just in case I get someone really harsh at the border, but I've never been asked for it. So technically I'm on an F1. And then we have, after that, you can get, like, CPT to work during, like, classes. You can do internships or something like that. And then after college, after you graduate, you get a year of OPT, so that you can work in the U.S. without sponsorship for a full year after your start date. So, yeah, so I'm currently trying to figure that out. And then after that, you would get, like, an HB1 visa, I think it's called. And then, or a green card or something like that. But the green card, like,
you got to kind of pass, usually you got to pass through those temporary visas first, like your O1 or TN or J1 is another one, but the H1B, HB1, I don't know why the acronym is flipping around in my head. I don't know what the exact one is. My mom's going to kill me because she's an immigration lawyer, but...
I was wondering how you knew all of this. I was like, I don't even know this, and this is my problem.
Yeah. Well, maybe not your problem soon if things go well with...
No, I mean, I don't think I'm looking at a marriage green card anytime soon. I don't think I'm on 90-Day Fiancé just
90-Day Fiancé?
Yeah, maybe if I really get desperate for citizenship, but I don't think I'm getting there yet.
You're not there. And there's always the investment option.
You can take it up with him.
I will take it up with him. But, and then you got to pass the green card, the EB1, EB2. I say all this because my professor who... is from Italy, had to go through all of this, and she became a naturalized citizen, so she has kind of a really big appreciation for kind of people in your shoes who came here. I think she said she came here to study as a senior in high school, and then obviously college and work. And it's just a tremendous process, and I think a lot of people in the U.S. just kind of ignorantly are like, oh, just get a visa, or like, come on, just chop, just figure it out. And it's kind of weird, but have you been able to find, like, community at Wake? What would you say is, like, I know you have, but, like, what would you say is, like, the weirdest thing? Like, culture shock and just finding the community that you fit into.
Culture shock. I don't know if I've really had a culture shock. I think I have a lot easier than a lot of students. Like, I don't have a language barrier or anything like that. So it hasn't been...
Yeah, your English is really good.
Thank you. Thanks, the first language. But yeah, no, I haven't had, like, a culture shock or anything, but I would say that there's definitely some slight differences.
Like maybe the Greek life, the sports at the school.
Greek life
you guys do sports at school, though.
Yeah, they're not really a thing, though, especially in high school. Like, the fact that people go and pay to watch high school sports here, that they're televised, is kind of, like... insane, because in Canada they really don't matter at all. It's all your, like, club team, but I don't know, like, there's definitely some little things, but I think it's more I don't know. Yeah, Greek life is definitely one of them. It's like, I'm not in Greek life, but if I was, I would have been bullied relentlessly by my friends back home, because the way that it's viewed at home is just so different from... Like,
maybe it's a little immature?
People just think it's, like, weird.
Like, cultish, maybe?
No, they think it's, like, paying for friends.
I got you.
So they think it's weird, and it's also, they think it's the way that it's portrayed in movies. That it's just, like, these really greasy parties and whatnot, which I don't think is necessarily always the case. I think definitely at some schools, like, shout out the SEC... Shout out the SEC. But I think, like, the philanthropic idea of Greek life never really got translated in any media, so people
Yeah,
don't really.
they're the bad.
Yeah, nobody knows. I didn't even know that sororities were like philanthropic. I'd never heard of like big or little before I came here. Like I really didn't know anything about it, but.
Well, I got tons of friends that are in it, but it's always seemed a little different to me. But that's just kind of the culture of Wake. One of the things I ask all the guests, just because it's big here. Now, kind of moving back to Canada, what do you think about Quebec? I know that's also a nice, like a big topic to talk about in terms of citizenship, because they have kind of like a different culture. At least a lot of the people that live there have a different culture compared to broader Canada. And it's like a big issue that gets talked about a lot. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like every country sort of has a province that it just, or province or state that it just doesn't like, and I think Quebec is definitely.
Sorry for all the Quebecois listeners.
Yeah, sorry, sorry guys, but you know what you are. Quebec is definitely ours, that we just for whatever reason don't like. But I do think like it's not individual people, it's just like they're I don't know, like they're kind of a leech on the Canadian taxpayer, so their government makes a lot of promises.
Do you think they'll ever like get independence? Or
I mean they had like a referendum a few years ago, like a couple decades ago, that they voted. And the vote was 51% to 49% in favor of staying in Canada. So we almost lost them, but we did not. They're still there. But yeah, we were close to leaving them. I think they definitely have sort of a distinct culture in them, or within the province. Like obviously they have a different language. They speak French, even though a lot of people in Canada do as well.
Yeah.
Just because it's our second national language, but
they do a good job teaching it in school.
Well, Ottawa, being the capital, is a bilingual city. So I didn't have a choice but to learn French growing up, and I also have French family, so it sort of got reinforced. But I mean, some provinces do, some provinces don't. There's only one official bilingual province, and that's New Brunswick, which is odd. But other than them, like most provinces stick to like one language.
And when you say French family, are they from Quebec or from France or something?
No, French Canadian. Yeah, no, they're
that's
from Quebec.
That's what I figured, but you never know. Like I think Quebec and Canada, when Europeans look to come to the United States, or sorry, not the United States, come to the Americas, and they have all the countries to pick from. They tend, if you're from France or from the UK, they either go to the US or Canada. But if you're from Spain, they look at some of the Latin American countries. I'm just saying that from kind of personal experience. Friends I've met and people I've met in Miami who are from Spain and then went to a Latin American country and then ended up coming to the US as a third stop. That just kind of seems interesting. So I don't know too many people from France, but I always wonder if they would go to Quebec or somewhere like that where they have the language, a shared culture, even though tons of people in France speak English really well, but maybe coming to the U.S. right away is something different. Kind of like my great-grandpa, he went from Scotland to Canada, actually, and then I think he ran across the border illegally, like
nice.
in northern Canada. So citizenship is interesting to me, but I digress. But what else do you think the people need to know? What do you think the people need to know?
I don't know. I mean, I get a lot of questions about whether people are nicer in Canada. Do you think that's, I mean, I don't know how much experience you have with Canadians, but do you think that's true or?
Definitely.
Really? I don't think so.
I think people in the U.S. are becoming a little more like, they're losing a little bit of respect slowly with the internet maybe, but I don't know.
With the internet?
Like being able to.
People being too open on the internet.
Get
their
whatever you
personality
want.
Showing.
Get whatever you want, whenever you want, like from whoever you want. Like they're not valuing people as much. I don't know. Maybe people from smaller countries have a little more respect. What would you say like the values are? Are they similar or they're a little different?
The values? Ooh, I don't know.
Canadian family.
My family of 36 million. I think.
Oh, I think I said 26 million.
You did say 26.
I'm sorry. I apologize. That's 10 million people. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I feel so bad.
We're about the same size as California in population.
Geez,
so.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm not offended. I mean, if Quebec separated, you'd probably be pretty accurate there. So, but I don't know. So I think like What was your question?
If you were to teach a class on the values
of the
great Canadian family,
the values of Canada. I think
what would be the values?
I think equality is probably one of them. I mean, Canada, our birth rate is incredibly low, and we also have a lot of people that leave, i.e. me, and so many others. But I think equality is a big one just because we rely on immigration so heavily just to keep our economy alive. And so that, and also, I mean, we legalized gay marriage in like the 80s. So it's, I think
ahead of the curve there.
We were a little, were we ahead of the curve or were we just ahead of you?
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is the rest of the world.
I don't know either, to be honest.
Sorry about that.
But I mean, I think equality is a huge one, like gender equality and sort of racial equality. I mean, obviously we still have issues, like nobody's perfect, and we still have a long way to go, especially with like indigenous communities. But
yeah, all those territories up there, like none of it.
Well, they're also
Yukon,
like, I mean,
Northwest, whatever.
Yeah, it's the Northwest Territory.
So many. So much land.
Yeah, we have a lot. We have a huge indigenous population there. Historically, we have not been the best at all, which is sugarcoating it a lot. I think maybe another one would be community, maybe. I think that's part of why people think we're nice. I think it's more just like, I don't know, it's just ingrained that, you help your neighbors type thing.
Can you trust people a little more there? Like, I feel like in America back in the day, you used to be able to, like, get stuff done with a handshake and, like, trust each other. But now it's I'm a little more skeptical of, like, people in my generation that, like, not for any malintent, malicious intent, whatever, but I feel like they'll flake on me. Like, they'll just flake. Like, I can't count on, like, the kids as much as I feel like my parents could have counted on their friends.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I don't know about, like, sort of flaking on people, but I know a lot of people who just never lock their doors. They just never have. I know my parents growing up, they had, like, an open door policy that, like, anyone could come in and, like, sit down, whatever. Like, they would, both of them actually did, before they even knew each other, but it would be, like, my dad's friends would come over and he'd just walk in the house and be like, oh, where's Mark? And my grandma would be like, oh, well, he's not here, but you can sit down and have a coffee if you want. But
it feels like a video game, kind of. You just go in.
Yeah, it sounds very, like, I mean, I think it's just odd that would happen in the 70s, especially with, like, all the, like, serial killers that were out there at the time. Like, it just feels like it's not the appropriate time to leave your door open, but whatever. People were nice. I don't know. I think, like, I don't know if you can really trust people. I mean, there's shady people everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think Canadians are definitely very trusting. I think we're more, like, obedient than Americans, maybe. I think Americans are more...
Maybe the pandemic showed that, but I don't like
Yeah, we were. Canadians were
more...
we were more like sheep.
Just go along.
In the pandemic. Yeah, we're more easily, like... I don't know. We're a lot easier
community
to just
is a
sort
community.
of follow along. Yeah, I guess.
The good of the community is more important than the regular individual.
Maybe I was spot on with that one. I mean, I think...
Nothing wrong with it. It's just how it is.
Yeah, I think Americans are a lot more, I don't know, maybe it's the history of the country, a lot more willing to, like, rebel and have their own sort of independence.
Some really, we're rebellious. Like,
yeah, but clearly we did not have that because we're still connected to England, so maybe that's why we're like sheep.
Just get along.
Get herded along, yeah.
Well, I think that's a great note to end it on. I love the Canadian people, and I'm very thankful to have gotten to know get to know you over these 4 years, so thank you for coming on the show, and I'll let you have the last word. Is there anything you want to say?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, if you don't have any more questions, I guess I'll just thank you for inviting me on.
Of course, this will be on YouTube.
For hosting me. Is it on YouTube?
It's gonna be eventually.
Oh,
so
God.
Thank you. If not, we'll talk about it later. But you've been listening to the Common Grounds podcast. I think we found common ground. Signing out today. Alex Murphy, good night.